Hi everyone. Hi. How you doing? I'm with the traveling Clatt. Okay, I am so happy to have you again with us. Hi, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for having me. I will give.
You're muted.
Am I muted? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We
Oh,
can hear
okay.
you now.
I'm okay
Yeah,
now?
we can hear you.
Okay. Hi
Yes.
everybody. Thanks for having me again, Frank. I'm so excited to be here. I'll give a fair warning at the beginning of the show. We are in an active conflict zone, so there is a chance that a siren will go off during the stream tonight, and I might have to run to a bomb shelter. So sorry in advance. Blame Iran and its terror proxies. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited to be here, man. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. We might get live stream from a bunker. How are you guys excited to see that? If you're excited, let me hear you say, yeah.
Yeah, Bunker Stream.
Yeah. Bunker stream is going to be incredible, guys. It's going to be fantastic. This is interesting times. People are going to see things you've never seen before. All right, guys. So happy to be live with you all. So happy to be live with the traveling Clatt. The last time you were here, it was incredible, and I believe this is also going to be another incredible stream. Also, guys, please smash the like button. Destroy that like button. We're just 39 right now that are watching this. So if you
I
hit that
want you
like
to
button,
all I want you to all commit jihad, violent jihad on that like button.
yeah, bomb the like button like Hezbollah is doing the north of Israel.
Bro, we can't do streams together, man. We're too I crack too many jokes.
It's going to be an interesting stream, guys. It's going to
For
be an
sure.
interesting stream. Yeah, and many things have been happening in the world. Many things. In fact, this week there are just so many things I want to talk about, and I don't even know if I'll be able to talk about so many of them. Like what is going on in Israel, what is going on in the UK, what is going on in Europe, what's going on in the Olympics, what is going on in Nigeria. I know many people don't know this, but there's also protests in Nigeria. Even though I don't think it's much of it. Maybe I'm one of the few Nigerians who don't think it's a big deal. But some people think it is a big deal. Also, there's a protest going on in Nigeria, and then there's protests going on in Bangladesh, and how the Hindu community in Bangladesh are also being attacked. Why they say that they are protesting? You know how it all goes. It looks like it's Iran all over again in Bangladesh. But let's hope it doesn't get to that level. Also, I am hoping to cover that in a future stream. Okay, but today we are going to be talking about Israel, and I wanted to do this last week, but I also had a list of topics last week. So I'm happy that this week we get to talk about it. Uh, Tell us about what has been happening in the north of Israel. What has been happening in the Golan Heights? What has been happening between Hezbollah and Israel since October 7th? Right? That's where it started.
So yeah, it started October 7th. I think technically October 8th, but since the very beginning of the war, when Hamas did
Mm,
their rapist pillaging of the south of Israel,
mm,
the Hezbollah terrorist group, which is funded by Iran, by the
mm,
Islamic regime of Iran, they started
mm,
lobbing missiles indiscriminately into the northern communities of Israel. So if you look at the map of Israel, you'll see the Golan Heights to the east, and then right next to it, the Galilee region, which spreads all the way to the coast, the Mediterranean coast. The entire region that borders with Lebanon, no single city or town has been off limits. Pretty much
mm,
going all the way further south to sort of the line of Akko, which is a Palestinian town, an ancestral
mm.
Palestinian town. They have been lobbing rockets indiscriminately into that town. I visited there
Wow.
recently. Tourism is gone. Not even Israeli
Mm,
domestic tourists are willing to visit because there's a real risk of getting hit with a rocket when you're there. So I
mm.
interviewed the Palestinians who live there, and they were like, we don't know what to do. Like our lives are
Uh,
ruined.
this is
Going
it.
all the way to
I said this is
what
one
was
thing
it?
I like about the so-called liberation movement. It looks like in the process, so many Palestinians will have to die, and still they will not be liberated. It's just fantastic.
It's literally it's everything they do is hypocritical. It's all bathed in hypocrisy. Whatever, if you want to call us the occupier or the aggressor, at least we're actually looking after our own people, right? Like we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to maximize the life of our own people. In their movement, it's not thousands, it's millions of their own people are
Mm,
to be killed by their own people in
mm,
in some sort of expression of liberation. So in short, 100,000 Jews, Arabs, Palestinians, Israelis, whatever you want to call them, from the north of
mm-hmm.
Israel have been displaced, living as refugees in their own country since October
Mm,
7th. as Hezbollah has started wildfires. They've shot tons of rockets. Towns like Kiryat Shmona have turned into complete army bases now with tanks rolling through them. Once I used to live there. I used to work on a kibbutz farm there. My uncle's kibbutz used to have 600 people living in it. There's 20 there now. And all the farms have been set on fires. Millions of dollars of produce gone. Food shortages. It's just a mess. And then they decided to escalate the situation last week by firing a 100-pound rocket made by the Islamic regime of Iran. They literally set it on the weapon on a soccer field filled with kids, killing 12 Druze children from literally Arab kids who everybody would consider Palestinian. That's what everybody in this region would call them, Palestinians. They killed them. Not a single Jew was killed. These were Druze Arabs who live in the Syrian Golan Heights, which is a land that Israel took during a war from Syria. Also for strategic, also because there's a lot of Jewish history there. It's our land now. It's been under our control. But the people who live in this town of Majd al-Shams, they don't even really recognize as Israelis. A lot of them don't identify as full Israelis. They've been offered citizenship. A lot of them don't take it. The newer generation does a little bit more, but they don't see themselves as Israeli. So literally, they are the least people who should be receiving something like this, if you want to, from your sort of liberation movement. And 12 children were killed, or 40 others were injured. And that sort of sparked off a crazy tit for tat sort of firing back on each other, where Israel killed Ismail Haniyeh and a second leader in Hezbollah and Muhammad Deif. And, it's been like a slow turns of escalation. And now we're at the point of we're being threatened by Iran and all of its proxies. And there's a good chance they're going to do a big attack on us. Maybe right now, maybe in the next hour, maybe tomorrow. We've been waiting.
The funny thing is that I don't think Israel has claimed that they are the ones who actually were responsible for Haniyeh's death. But we can all assume, we can all come to the conclusion that
we take pride for that.
It was Mossad. I was there. I saw it.
I mean, the interesting theory is originally the news that was coming out is that there was a precision strike done on his hotel room where he stayed frequently. But the newest news that came out is that actually it was a bomb planted 2 months ago. And it had just been sitting there for the right moment, which is so epic. Like that's like IDF level shit that we used to do in the 70s and 60s when we didn't let anybody, nobody messed with us back then. The Arab world actually used to fear us. I feel like recently we've allowed the Arab world and Iran's proxies to sort of bully us and pick on us. And you see all these things happening. We don't react very violently. Now it's like, I think I agree. We should be making these lists and ticking them off one by one. Haniyeh gone, Def gone, Sinwar gone.
Yeah. I think Sinwar is not in Gaza. I believe he's in Egypt right now, chilling somewhere. I am very sure he's in Egypt. Did you see the tunnel that they discovered that led to Egypt that a tank can pass through? Did you see that tunnel that I don't know if you
Yeah, of course.
I'm very sure he has taken one trip out of Gaza to Egypt right now.
Brother, I blame Egypt for, honestly, I on my streams, I have been blaming Egypt for October 7th. I put almost 90% of the blame on Egypt because none of the weapons, none of the drugs used to rape people on October 7th, none of the vehicles, none of that would have been possible to come into Gaza if it wasn't for Egypt. I mean, Israel has a pretty strict blockade on it. So it was Egypt that allowed a lot of this stuff in. And of course, Sinwar is in Egypt. It's a genius plan because if he escapes to Egypt, we literally can't do anything about it. We're not going to be invading Egypt. We're not going to be looking for him in Egypt. Actually, no country is going to be looking for him in Egypt because we have a peace deal with Egypt. It's not like when you're invading Pakistan or Afghanistan or Iraq. It's one of these countries where you can go in with a U.S. Militia and do a bunch of damage, look for him. You're not going to do it in Egypt. It's just not going to happen. So it's genius. He can run away and live there for the rest of his life.
So it's so interesting. It's so interesting. And when we were talking earlier about the current state of Israel, you sounded like there was this a bit of anxiety in the air of we don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if that's still there or if it is lightening a little bit.
So I'll explain it like this because the Israeli psyche is a very funny one, in my opinion. one thing that everybody should know about Israelis, we're a very not serious people. So like
Okay.
I always explain to people, part of the element of being a Jew, of being Jewish, which is the majority of Israel, and I think that
Mm,
also spreads onto our Muslims who live here and our Christians who live here. That effect
mm,
spreads onto everyone. Is like
mm,
part of being Jewish is that death follows you wherever you go. It's a dark
mm,
reality, but it's a reality. But we are so comfortable with the idea of being killed or death. It's like so part of our culture. Every holiday we celebrate is because somebody
mm,
tried to kill us and then we survived. So it's like death is always following us, always following us, to it, to the point where
mm,
people are kind of desensitized to it. Like Iran made those threats back in April that they were going to bomb our country with
mm,
thousands. They were going to make it rain missiles. And the first thing that I
mm,
received were memes on WhatsApp. That was the first thing. It wasn't warnings. It wasn't like, it was memes on WhatsApp that made me crack up. And I realized
mm,
like how much the world can threaten us and say they want to eliminate us, to say they want to kill us. And we'll just make
mm,
jokes about it. Is there an anxiety in the air? 100%. There's less people outside. There's less people in restaurants. People are sticking closer to bomb shelters. But are people
mm.
still making jokes? Are people still laughing? Are they still living their lives? 100%. I went skating yesterday morning, like I was watching
Mm,
military helicopters flying around Tel Aviv, and I was in the skate bowl skating, because at a certain
mm.
point here, you have to sort of live your life. You can't let the
Yeah, I guess.
enemy break us.
Yeah, I guess you can see people in Israel are kind of a bit desensitized to this kind of, like, the fear is no longer like, yeah, there's fear, but it's not like you are shaking, you can't do it. It's not paralyzing kind of fear. It's just like, I'm cautious, but I'm not, controlled by this. It kind of reminds me of, I was telling you earlier, just like I was telling you about malaria in Nigeria. It's like Nigerian malaria. Like, oh, you have malaria, you are fine. But if somebody who is not used to, getting sick with malaria hears about it, like, Jesus, you're about to die, That's kind of
Yeah,
going to be the point.
I think
So,
that's their whole goal, is to break our spirit. And
mm,
don't get me wrong, when the attack does start, because it's going to start in the next couple days or couple hours, it's going to be
mm,
scary. I'm going to be sitting in a bomb shelter. I know Tel Aviv is going to be bombed where I'm at. I know it's going to be scary. I know I'm going to hear explosions. I don't know what else is going to happen, really. It's going to be
mm,
scary. Do not get me wrong. It will be a very scary experience. It's a very real
mm,
danger. It's not a joke.
mm,
But
mm,
again, their whole concept is that they want to break us. They want to break our spirits, and I think that you just see that we won't allow it. Not anymore.
mm, mm, mm,
We're not the
mm,
Holocaust victims we were, 75 years ago.
mm,
We're not the same people that were kicked out of their Arab countries for being Jews. It's a different reality. Jewish people are actually very
mm,
strong now. They're very strong
mm,
minded as well, in a lot of
mm,
ways.
mm. That's so good to hear. It's so good to hear. And the other time I was reading a news article about Iran saying that they're going to, in their response attack, I think the UN were the ones saying that they're going to target civilians, and the UN was like, "Hey, yeah, we just want to warn you that Iran said that they're going to target." So so yeah, I just like the UN. It's like, we deliver messages from terrorists. They said they are going to kill your civilians, but what are we going to do? We are
Can I
here to
ask you a
deliver.
question, Frank?
Yeah,
Is it safe to say that the UN is a terrorist organization at this point?
we
When
are not going to.
when has the UN approved strikes by terrorist groups onto civilians? That is historical. Like, there was no
Mm,
condemnation from the UN. They didn't say, Hezbollah, Iran, please don't strike civilians. They just said they're going to strike civilians, and they were like fine with it. There was no strike. There was no strike. There was no sanctions. There was no
mm.
court ruling that this is something. It's like,
They're in the Olympics right now. They're in the Olympics now, doing fine. But Russia can't compete. Can you imagine?
I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? What is this world we
Even
live in?
did you see the Palestinian who is competing in the Olympics? What's her name? Her name is translated the Egyptian. I've forgotten what her name is.
Oh,
But
Al-Masri. Al-Masri.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Born in the United States, and
So
the
a lot of people
Palestinian.
don't know this. Most of the Gazan population, actually, a lot of the Arabs who came to Israel, who consider
Mm,
themselves Palestinian. Okay, let's get one thing clear real quick. Palestinian wasn't an identity. It wasn't a nationality or a people group 50 years ago. This is a new
until Yasser
concept that was
Arafat.
brought.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yasser Arafat brought that into reality. A lot of the last names that you see of the people in the north are
Mm,
Khalabi, which means the Syrian people, because that's what most
mm,
of the Arabs were here. They considered
mm,
themselves Syrians. And the ones in the
mm,
Gaza Strip, actually, also genetically, if you genetically tested the Arabs in the Gaza Strip, 80% DNA is from Africa. And that's why a lot of them have this last name of Al-Masri, which literally means the Egyptian.
Egyptian.
Masr or Mitzrayim in Hebrew, that means Egypt. That's the Arabic Hebrew word for Egypt. Al-Masri literally means the Egyptian.
Yeah.
So
and that's the name of the person. So and she didn't even qualify. She was invited. She was given honorary, opportunities. You are not supposed to be here, but because you are victims of genocide, right? So you get to compete. Why Iran is also allowed to compete as well. But Russia, we're happy that Russia is where they draw the line. That is a good place to draw the line. You say Russia, no, but Iran, yes. Palestine, yes. Afghanistan, 100%. Qatar, come on, hop
please,
in, but
please come in. Yeah, we live in a very strange world, brother. I really don't. I don't know how to make sense of this stuff anymore. It's honestly like it's disheartening. I'm like, what kind of future am I going to bring my children into when the UN is doing stuff like this?
It's no longer a double standard. It's just no standard. How I wish it was double. It's just at this point, I don't even know what it is based on. I don't know what it is based on. I really don't know what it is based on. It's that you don't have standards anymore. You just do whatever, So it's really interesting to see. It's really, really interesting to see. Now let's see if we can look at some. Let's see if we can look at some articles that I think will be interesting. I wanted us to react to your video, but it's very long, so let's not react.
Are you talking about the one from Majd al-Shams, the one from the north?
Yes, that one. But it's
powerful video. I'm very proud of it.
It was very, and I encourage everyone to go and see the video. I think I'll link it in the pinned comment after this live stream.
I could tell that it really emotionally affected a lot of people because I even the message that you sent me, I could see that Frank sent me such a sweet message after of support and love after that video, and I got so many messages like that from around the world of people saying this was a horrific video. This was really hard.
Yeah. I watched it and I was like, wow, this is crazy stuff, man. And this is one of the things that I wanted Mansour to help us, understand. The Druze people, the community in the Golan Heights, and tell us about them and stuff like that. And also their, although it's not important to the world, but it's just something that when you watch that, you're curious to know how they mourn. They do this 7 days mourning, and it reminds me of how people in Onisha do burial. The burial can be 7 days burial. But it's all to get money, Sha. I don't think it's the same thing with what the Druze people are doing.
No, here in the Druze, first of all, the Druze are split up into two different groups in Israel. The ones in the Golan Heights, specifically in Majd al-Shams, are less Zionist, I will say. A lot of them don't identify as Israeli. There are some that do, but a lot of them don't. The ones in other parts of Israel, near Haifa, they're super Zionist. The ones where Mansour's family comes from, they're super, super Zionist. They're very pro-Israel. They love being a part of Israel, very loyal to the country. But the what they do is really based. It's a very Semitic sort of Levantine way to do a funeral, very similar how Jews do it. Or when a Jew passes away, 7 days you sit on the floor, you invite people over for food. You don't shave your beard for a year if you're a man. We call it a shiva, which literally means 7 days. But in the Druze, it's very similar. It's all the idea is about mourning, but not being alone. You're not allowed to be alone in that time. It's the community's duty to be with you, to make sure that you're doing okay.
Yeah, that's impressive. That's very interesting. It's very interesting culture. Now let's look at what the Guardian has to say about a very moderate Muslim over here called Ismail Haniyeh. And they have very wonderful things. let's go through this very interesting. Come with me. Let's explore this very interesting.
I don't want to go, Frank. I don't want to go with you here. I don't want to go here. This doesn't sound like a fun article.
It's going to be very. I'm telling you, when we read it, you'll be like, wow, I learned a lot today. Hamas has described the killing of his political chief, Ismail Haniyeh, as a grave escalation that will not go unanswered. His assassination in Iran overnight will be perceived as a serious blow to efforts to secure a ceasefire in Gaza. Yeah, this is something that you see in many articles that talk about this very wonderful man. He was, somebody who really was, looking for permanent ceasefire solution, end the conflict. This guy doesn't like violence. He was all about a ceasefire agreement, between Israel and Gaza, right? That's 100%, what he was at.
100%. That's why you could see videos of him on October 7th with his Muslim Arab cronies in Qatar, shaking hands and celebrating as they were watching women being raped on TV. You can see how they were praying to the ground and saying Allahu Akbar in victory to Palestine. So a very, very peaceful, moderate
very
man.
much. That's usually like the first step towards a ceasefire, is that you break the previous ceasefire that you have. You can't have a new ceasefire agreement if you don't break the old one. You understand? It's kind of how it works. You you have to break the old one first. As talks mediated by the US, Qatar, and Egypt staggers forward after months of negotiation, the group called Haniyeh's death in what it describes as a raid on his Tehran residence treacherous. The Qassam Brigade, Hamas's armed wing, said it was a critical and dangerous event that takes the battle to new dimensions and will have major repercussions on the entire region. Powerful. Everybody is shaking now, I believe. Hamas have issued a threat. It has changed the dimension of their defeat in Gaza. Anyway,
can you imagine, by the way, Frank? Imagine being a citizen of Iran right now. Like, imagine, I brought this up on my stream yesterday. Imagine how frustrating it must be to be an Iranian civilian who hates the government, that their government is literally going to bring their country into a war with a nation that's way more powerful than them. I mean, Israel is definitively more powerful, especially with the coalition behind it. They're going to risk the lives of millions of people in Iran for Ismail Haniyeh, for him. It's not even for the guy who died in the helicopter, not even for Icy, for a Palestinian billionaire. That's who you want to risk the whole country for? I'm like, imagine how frustrating it would be.
There was this tweet I saw. I think maybe we'll look at it looking down. Somebody was like, how could Iran allow this to happen? How could Iran allow this to happen, that someone will get killed? A guest, a very important guest, to get killed in Iran under their nose. And then somebody replied that the IRGC were busy monitoring women, ensuring that they wear their hijab, and that's why they didn't have enough time to ensure. They didn't have enough time. They were busy making sure that women had their hijab in the right place. Okay, that was very
doing grown people stuff.
Yes, ensuring that women are well covered. So they didn't have enough time to ensure that Ismail was receiving enough security. So it happens. It's one of those things. Anyways, let's move on.
It happens.
It happens. There are parts in this article that okay, here's the one that I love. Qatar's Prime Minister, Sheikh Mohammed bin whatever, despaired at the killing, fearing it to further endanger already fragile ceasefire negotiations. How can mediation succeed when one party assassinates the negotiator on the other side? He said. Well, it will succeed. Maybe he has been maybe he has been the reason why the negotiation is not moving forward. Have you guys ever considered that? Listen, and here's another one that they said. There's this one that I like. This is. Let's start from here. Diplomats, officials, and observers view him as relatively pragmatic compared to other more militant voices that have risen to the fore in Gaza. He was not just a diplomat, but a moderate, someone willing to consider that reconciliation and diplomacy with Israel was the right route to take.
Cut to literally a video 6 hours before he was killed of him sitting in a room full of people chanting death to Israel. Cut to that clip 6 hours before he was killed, where he was sitting.
I don't have that clip, but I was there. That was during
very moderate.
Very moderate. Very, 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 very moderate.
Ismail Haniyeh, I want to exclaim this. That man was living on borrowed time from the day that video was released from him, praising the attacks of October 7th. That was borrowed time from that moment forward. Borrowed time.
There's another one I want to show you. This is BBC, the famous BBC. They did a 140 word let me call it expose on who this wonderful man is. Now, I want you guys to understand something about BBC. BBC is the news agency that has called Trump Hitler, called him a fascist. I want you to understand that. They said Marine Le Pen from France is a fascist. I don't know if you guys saw the interview that Amanpo did with Le Pen, and she said she doesn't like the term far right, being called far right, and Amanpo started laughing. Like, are you serious? That was what she said. Like, laugh. it was so annoying. Like, the lady was like, I'm not far right. I don't like the label. I don't think it rightfully describes who I am and what my party stands for. And Amanpo was laughing at her to her face, like, are you serious? Are you seriously not saying that you are a far right politician? Right? That is BBC. I want you to remember that about the BBC, right? But when it comes to Haniyeh, this is what they had to say. Born in a refugee camp in Gaza in 1963, Ismail Haniyeh was a key member of Hamas from its inception. He was imprisoned by Israel a number of times and at one point was expelled out Lebanon for 6 months. In 2003, he survived an assassination attempt by Israel along with Hamas's founder. 3 years later, he was briefly Palestinian's prime minister after Hamas won elections. But a violent rift between Hamas and other main Palestinian faction, Fatah, followed a year later. Widely regarded as a pragmatist, Haniyeh was said to have maintained good relations with other rival Palestinian groups. He was elected head of Hamas political bureau in 2017. In recent years, he lived in exile, moving between Turkey and Qatar. He has been playing a key role in negotiation over a ceasefire deal in Gaza. Did you hear anything about him leading terrorists? Did you hear anything about him being responsible for October 7? Did you hear anything about him having billions? I just want you guys to understand everything that they said. Nothing about him being a terrorist, nothing about him being the leader of a terrorist group is mentioned. It's like this guy is just a good guy, has not, like, look through this 140 word and tell me one negative thing that was said about Ismail Haniyeh. Nothing.
Why? What is the interest of the West to defend this guy? Like, the guy stole billions of dollars from UN agencies off the backs of Palestinian people. He embezzled tons of money and then ran away and lived in 5-star hotels, lavish. I mean, we all saw what his family's houses looked like. The IDF killed his children and his wife and a bunch of his. We had 4 wives. He killed a bunch of his family members in Gaza. You saw what their houses look like. That is pure corruption, greed. It's disgusting. And again, the guy was an extremist. It's more than just an extremist. The guy was probably synonymous to being a rapist, pedophile as well, because his whole group, his whole party, are rape apologists. They're pedophiles. A lot of them do horrible things to children, to women. The crimes against humanity that they have done since October 7th and before and beyond. He's a part of all of that. Where is that in this article? Why does that not exist? And I'll add one more point. A lot of people don't know this. Ismail Haniyeh wasn't involved in the planning, supposedly wasn't involved in the planning of October 7th. He apparently didn't even know it was going to happen until a few hours before it happened. But still, when it happened, because the whole thing was apparently planned by Sinwar, who's on the ground. When it happened, he could have taken a stance and said, Hamas doesn't stand for this. We don't believe in this. This isn't what our party is about. Instead, you saw him in a 5-star hotel in Qatar, bowing to the ground, saying Allahu Akbar, celebrating that people are being raped and murdered. He had the opportunity to say, we're not a part of this. Sinwar is a crazy man. He planned this on his own. I don't want to be a part of this. His days were numbered from that point on. That's when his days became numbered.
And maybe there's another thing people need. Speaking of the UN, did you know that Ismail Haniyeh was a former UNRWA teacher?
I love that you call him Ismail Haniyeh. He is a hyena. That's all he deserves. He's a freaking hyena.
Do you know he was a former UNRWA teacher?
I'm not surprised. I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
لقد حاولت الأونروا أن تكون
كما
ذكرت حاملة وطنية.
Said UNRWA has tried to constitute a national platform and a long arm, which would enable the Palestinian refugees.
ما الذي حصل؟
Which is enable to obtain
الحصول.
to obtain their rights, and first and foremost the right of return. Then moving forward, he said, but what happened was that the West saw, okay, what did they see? That UNRWA was raising thousands and thousands of cadres who would gradually contribute to the development of Palestinian society. Okay? Who are these cadres? They saw that the UNRWA schools were giving rise to leaders. Powerful stuff. Many familiar names of politicians and leaders. First and foremost, we can mention Ismail Haniyeh, who was a what? An UNRWA teacher. Powerful stuff. So UNRWA has been giving rise to many prominent prominent Palestinian leaders and politicians. And one of them is
Ismail Haniyeh.
This very wonderful guy. To talk about him, like, this guy was doing wonderful stuff. He was a great guy. He was trying to, broker a peace deal. He has been a very pragmatic, moderate, diplomatic individual. He's not the worst compared to somebody like Sinwar. Ismail is a very wonderful guy, and of course, when you are the one who produced the person, you might as well also defend the person you produce, because this is the product of the West in a way. When you funded UNRWA schools, this is what those schools produce. So you might want to, defend your product.
I think it's hard for them to ingest to understand what they've done, the damage that they have caused to the lives of Palestinians and to the lives of Israelis. And like, I was just touring an IDF like intelligence facility last week, and I was shown UNRWA IDs of Muhammad Def's wife. I have pictures of it on my phone of Muhammad Def's wife being an UNRWA nurse and an UNRWA employee. UNRWA has been working and funding terrorism for years now, and it's been in public knowledge. People like Hillel Noor, who's on screen right now with his UN Watch, has been calling it out, and nobody was listening. Nobody cared. Nobody was interested in it.
Yeah. It's one to work for UNRWA. You need to have one of the things they ask you is, what is your hobbies? What are your hobbies? You have to list them in your resume. And if you put terrorism as one of your hobbies, you are hired. It's kind of like it's a very important requirement. You need that. And here is Ismail Haniyeh, like few hours before his assassination, and let us hear the wonderful thing that he has to say.
يعني تملكنا الكثير من الفخر والاعتزاز ونحن نتجول.
That I'm filled with pride and to stroll around this exhibition of civilization.
في أرض الحضارات وننتقل من بلد
one country to another with Jerusalem in the center.
وفي القلب منها القدس وهي محور الصراع
مع المشروع. Pivot of our conflict with the Zionist enterprise.
الصهيوني وأن هذه الدول والشعوب
and people of the Islamic nation view Jerusalem
الأمة الإسلامية هي ترى في القدس يعني
as their first direction of prayer and the place of the Prophet's night's journey.
الأولى ومصر هي الرسالة اللي
So the message is very clear.
إنه هذه الحضارات
civilization emerged from this region, these nations and these countries.
هي انطلقت من هذه المنطقة، انطلقت من هذه الشعوب، انطلقت من هذه الدول. واليوم
today there is an attempt to create civilization, but these civilizations are based on killing, bloodshed.
Sounds familiar.
Very familiar. The plundering of other nations' resources and occupying the lands of others. Wow.
Self-aware much, sir?
These
are four civilizations that are not destined to last. Tell me about
يكتب لها يعني البقاء.
The civilization that will last for eternity is
now I get it. You know what he's doing, Frank? You know what he's doing, right? It's a psychological. He's projecting. He's projecting.
Yeah, he's projected. He's 100%.
Everything he knows being false about listen, he's not a dumb person. He's probably he was a smart man. I'm to get to that point in life, you have to have a level of intelligence. I am sure at some point in his life, he had to face the hard truth and understand that Islamic and Arab colonization was a reality in the Middle East. He had to internalize that. And then he had to say, I like billions of dollars way more. Let's move on. That's what he had to do. He had to have that conversation with himself. And here he's projecting everything.
One thing about being a very good deceiver, because people are very deceptive. People like Ismail here is he's a very deceptive person. Okay, and I believe that people like him, for them to be able, this is my theory though, for them to be able to deceive so many people and lead a crowd of blind people, they themselves have deceived themselves, right? They have really deceived themselves, and they have been brainwashed by whatever it is that they believe, or they've convinced themselves to believe. I'm very sure I kind of am of the opinion that in his mind he thought when he was alive that indeed it is true that Islam is the eternal civilization. He believed that the civilization that came out of Jerusalem was the Islamic civilization. I don't how he was able to have that in his mind, and also at the same time believe that Mecca is also the place where Islam rose from. Is a miracle. It's an Islamic miracle. I cannot explain it, but I'm very sure he put both ideas in his head, and it was like, yes, Jerusalem, Mecca more so than Jerusalem. But since I'm fighting for Jerusalem, I also have to say Jerusalem. That's where every civilization came out from. Even though my book tells me that all the prophets are from Mecca, but I have to also include Jerusalem somehow. I'm very sure he had done something like that in his head and convinced himself somehow that he has to, believe this and say this so that he can continue, fighting and, leading to so many people dying in the process in the name of freeing, Alaskans or Alaska. I keep calling it Alaska, like
Alaska, free Alaska, please, everybody, free Alaska from the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea. Free Alaska.
Free Alaska.
Free Alaska. Screw my pronunciation. Free Alaska, guys. Anyway, so
oh, Frank, dude, your pronunciation of those two things are killer. Alaska and hyena, amazing.
Powerful stuff. So if you should bear with me, my Nigerian tongue is interfering with all these Arabic names. Bear with me. Anyways, I'm not a Semite, okay? I'm not. I'm from West Africa. So I'm very sure he has these ideas in his head, and he has been able to convince himself that, moving forward, I'm going to say all this nonsense about how any civilization that is based on bloodshed will not last while I'm shedding blood. It's really interesting.
Actively participating in the bloodshed in mass.
While I'm actively doing all of this, I'm still going to somehow convince myself that I'm not the one who is shedding blood. I'm not the one who is killing people. While my entire movement is about killing people. Like I tell people, like, think day and night about killing Jews and shedding their blood and parading their bodies in the streets and raping their women. While I'm telling people about this, I'm also going to say, you see, a civilization that is based on bloodshed will not last, and that is why Israel will crumble. Powerful. These people are powerful. This is a mental illness. I'm telling you, these people are powerful.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's some sort of psychosis for sure.
The lack of self-awareness is just incredible. It's really
amazing. They're breaking records.
It's one of the scientific miracles of the Quran. The ability to make people behave like this.
Wow, somebody in the comment section wrote, and I agree with this so much. Kurz Breton said, Islam invented gaslighting. I could not agree with that more. That is literally the whole Israel-Palestine conflict and its appropriation in the West is gaslighting. That's all it is.
Yes. They are terrorists. They call Israel terrorists. It's like, oh, you are the one who is at fault. Am I at fault, or is it you? Is it your fault?
I posted something on my Instagram the other day where you can see like all the proxies and all the countries that are ready to attack Israel this week, and you see this tiny little barely noticeable dot on the map, and it's like, we're all going to attack you, yet we're the problem. We are the problem. Yeah, us. All your countries are crumbling. All of your nations are crumbling. Everybody's suffering in all those countries, and we're the problem.
Yeah. It's how they think. It's really like the mentality is incredible. It's really incredible. Iran has so many problems, but this is the one that is more pressing. They have to fight in the way of Allah.
The Zionist enterprise. You really got to be careful.
Yeah, you have to destroy that. Until they destroy that, they can't move forward. Allah is costing, and until they destroy And this is the moderate Ishmael saying, as I and I repeat every time, the blood of the children of the children, women, and I do not say that. I do not say that it shouts out to you. I do not say that it shouts out to you. Okay? But rather, we need this blood so that it will ignite within us the spirit of revolution.
So we do need bloodshed all of a sudden.
Okay. Yeah. And this is what it means to be a moderate, by the way. In case you're wondering, what are you hearing right now? You're hearing what? In case you're like, what does it mean to be a moderate? This is it, guys. This is the definition of moderation. Okay? When you are calling for people to die, you're like, their blood will inspire you. You are a moderate. So that it will arouse within us persistence, so that it will arouse within us defiance and a forward advance. A forward advance indeed. Look at Gaza, is moving forward. As I said, and I repeat every time, the blood of we are starting all over again. So yeah, that is the moderate wisdom of Ismail Haniyeh. Let me pronounce his name very well. Respect.
For those of you dummies that are listening, or for like the haters of this channel who are listening, because there are a few, do you know what that is? What he just said? That's literally him justifying using human shields. We Hamas acknowledge that bloodshed is good for our cause, so we will place the women, the children, the elderly in front of our soldiers. We'll place them in front of the IDF. We will hide behind them, so you kill them and ignite the spirit of the Palestinians to uprise. That is sadistic. That's inhumane. That's what animals do. Animals don't even do that kind of stuff. That's horrific.
Yeah. It's an insult. It's an insult to animals to compare people like
truly.
And yet, yeah, it is, because even animals, some of them don't do this. They don't go this far. But he's willing to go this way. Like, we are going to kill our children or put them in harm's way, and they die. It will ignite, the revolutionary spirit. And with that, we are going to, the Westerners need to understand this. Hamas is not trying to liberate the Palestinian people. When they talk about liberation, it's not people. Okay? That's why they are killing them. They don't want to, when they mean liberate the land, it's not the people that they are planning to liberate. That's why they kill their own people. It's land. If you really believe this, if you really work with this mindset that land is more important than people, then you because this is the mindset that they are operating with. The land that we want to take is more important than people who are going to live in that land. So the people. But as long as we liberate the land, wonderful. And that is moderation anyways. So
let me ask you, what do you guys think will happen when Palestine is free? You think that Palestinians are going to be living a high quality of life? You think that Palestinians are going to be excelling in careers and job opportunities? Or do you think that it's going to be another Islamo-fascist country that oppresses every ethnic minority like every single country in this region? There's not one example that lets people live open and free. I don't want to name names because I don't want to be put on a list by some of these countries I'd like to visit in the future. But even think about the ones that are succeeding. Not one of them has equality. Not one of them has open freedom. Not one. Not even a single example.
I like Tol. He doesn't want to offend Pakistan because he wants to visit Pakistan.
Oh hell no! I hate Pakistan. I don't want to visit Pakistan. It's other countries. I don't want to visit Pakistan. I talk crap about Pakistan all the time.
It's like, let me not mention Pakistan before they say you can no longer visit. It will break my heart. I would love to visit Pakistan, but let me not compare. Let me not say Gaza will become like Pakistan. It will be worse than Pakistan. It will be Afghanistan.
It's the same. Pakistan. What's the difference between the Gazan society and Pakistanis? What's the difference between Afghanistan and Gaza? It's the same.
Before October 7, some parts of Gaza we are doing way better than some areas in Pakistan. That is for sure. That's true. Yeah, that is a fair thing to make.
I always get really frustrated with people when they like to victimize Palestinians. Like they like to make them like children. You know, like
Mhm.
they take all the they just make them these innocent. Like, I traveled in the West Bank. I've seen Palestinian refugee camps with my own eyes.
Mm.
People in India, in like a moderate neighborhood in India, are
Mm.
struggling way more than in like the worst neighborhoods in Palestine, whatever you consider Palestine.
Yeah, some of their so-called refugee camps, like the one that was raided. Some of these areas have like swimming pools, they have like nice places, they have stores, they have stuff. Like, look at those pictures that they were showing then when they wanted to, to get sympathy. They're like, look at Gaza before the attack. Look at those pictures, and you'd be like, wow, this is the concentration camp you guys are talking about, with the beautiful scenery, with wonderful buildings and stuff. And you're like, wow, this is the refugee camp. Yes, in Nigeria, when we say refugee camp, we are talking about tents. Right, people living in tents, people really, really living in serious poverty. In Gaza, is different. It's like a hotel. It's like a commercial center, and that is
It's a condo. It's their condominiums. If you guys want, you can see it on my channel. I've toured through a Palestinian refugee camp in Kalandia, right out of Ramallah. I was shocked by what I saw. There's like pet shops with selling exotic birds inside of the refugee camp. I was like, what kind of refugee camp is this? I've been to actual refugee camps in the Southeast Asia. Those refugee camps, there's no pet stores there. People don't have pets. They're dying. Like, they can't survive, you know? What kind of refugee camp is this?
Even somebody as rich as DJ Khaled is also, he's a Palestinian, so he's also a refugee. Though he's a billionaire now in America, he's also even Ismail Haniyeh, that before he passed away, he was also a refugee living in Doha, living his best life, billionaire, has it all, has more than the average has more than the average Westerner, but he's still a refugee, and he needs the right of return as well. Anything to just displace a Jewish person and put a Palestinian there or an Arab there, that is that is what
I'll say that most Palestinians I know that I've met have way more money than my family, for example, live in a way, and it's not to say anything like I want that, but I'm saying like most Palestinians that I know, they're living way better than any of my family members in Israel after 3 generations of being here. Like, Israel is a notoriously tough country to succeed in. It's expensive here. Palestinians live a generally very high quality of life, both in Israel and in the West Bank. Gaza's hit or miss, but that's by their own design. But like, I see Palestinians driving around in very nice cars, living in very nice houses, owners of very big businesses and a lot of things in farming, in clothes design, and in construction. Like, my family ain't got that, and I'm browner than most Palestinians. So can I claim reparations from Palestinians? I want a kickback. Help me out. Help a brother out.
That's what happens when you are a colonizer. You make less. Okay, it's
oh, that's how colonization. It's reverse colonization.
That is how it works. That's how colonization works. Okay, when you're a colonizer, you make less. The people you're colonizing make more. Happens that that's when the British were here. It was the same story. We are doing way better than the British. Ask around. That's what happened. Okay. So that is exactly what you expect. You should expect. Is the story is just when I talk about the whole Israel Palestine Gaza thing, the more you learn about it, the more you're like, this is ridiculous. Like,
it's ridiculous.
The whole talk about it is ridiculous. The way they talk about the Palestinians is ridiculous. The way they talk about it, I'm very sure if Yahya Sinwar dies tomorrow, there's going to be talk about how he was a great man, a revolutionary fighter, somebody who went from prison to president or something like that. They are going to tell this. BBC will have their 140-word obituary or eulogy, whatever they want to write that day. They will have it out. Guardian will release theirs. Reuters will release that. Everybody will be talking about how great of a man this man was and the wonderful things he did for Palestinians. At one point, everybody will forget. It's the same thing they did with Raisi. You remember when Raisi died? Or Raisi, whatever his name, however his name is pronounced. Everyone was talking about him like he was this great guy. This is somebody that was called the Butcher of Tehran, but all of a sudden he's like this wonderful guy, this great leader. He's so tragic. His death is like Mother Teresa just died, and that's the same thing they are doing.
30,000 Iranians were killed. I think another 100,000 were imprisoned directly by Ibrahim Raisi. And in the West, these articles in the West had the audacity to glorify him.
Yeah,
when this guy is literally an evil movie villain. People in Iran Well, everybody knows Iranians notoriously hate their government at this point. Their people, the people of that country are a beautiful group of people who do not support their country. They're a government. And they're like, what the hell? What are you guys supporting Ibrahim Raisi? This guy was our oppressor. He not only did he oppress us, he oppressed everybody else in this region. And you guys are writing articles about him, like fluff pieces. Why? What's the point? What is it? How does this benefit anyone?
People have been. What is happening in the West is even like heartbreaking and funny at the same time. You see them waving the flag of Hezbollah. You see them carrying the picture of Khomeini. You see them, talking about how they are Hamas, they are this, they are that. You see, that's what we see in the West these days. It's no longer news at this point that they even when Iranians, we are talking about, look at our country, look at how bad it is, look at how women are treated there. I saw people who were on Twitter saying that Iranians are using this to distract from what is happening in Gaza. There are people who are saying that let's not focus on the fact that women are being, get beat up and for not wearing the hijab. Let's not talk about the abuse of the right of women in Iran right now. Let's focus instead on, the Jewish occupation of Gaza and the West Bank. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Israel is an illegal state that should not exist. Let's not talk about Iran. That is why Iran has the right, and we should celebrate Iran when they attack. Remember the attack that they did that time? That one that only killed I don't know if he killed her, the Birdwing girl.
It injured her.
Injured her. Okay, that one that injured her. What everybody was like, let's not talk about how bad Iran is at this moment. Let's instead focus on Israel. And then you hear people in the West talk about colonial feminism. When you talk about Jewish women getting raped on October 7th, they're like, any person who focuses on that is participating in colonial feminism. I'm like, what do you mean by colonial feminism? Is it when you stand up for Jewish women who who experience real terror on October 7th? When you stand up for them, when you speak up for them, they're like, you're using feminism against us. Or it's just the same. The tactics is just, as long as you can abandon whatever it is that you believe, as long as a Westerner, whatever you hold there, be it freedom, liberty, whatever it is, you can abandon it for a moment and somehow come up with another theory and whatever idea in your head to justify people that you normally should hate, something that you normally should hate. Westerners are doing it. And the media is partially responsible for that mindset. Why they are doing it is something I don't know. Why they are doing it is something I don't understand. That is why it is easier to just say that they just hate Jewish people. Like there's this Jewish hatred because there's no other way to explain it. Like why are you going out of your way to write puff pieces for a terrorist? Why are you doing that? Other than you hate Jews, That is the.
It really doesn't make sense. I think that there's some sort of complex that people in the West are dealing with, where it's a lack of purpose in life, and they feel maybe guilty for everything, and so they're trying to cope with that by propping up anybody they consider an underdog or somebody who's oppressed, when in reality they're propping up the oppressors of this region. They're propping up the colonizers of this region, and they're not even paying, because they're too dumb to actually do the research. They learn everything from TikTok University instead of learning about the plight of people like the Igbos, for example, in Nigeria, or learning about the plight of people in Kurdistan, or learning about the plight of people who are Assyrian or Coptic. They don't these thoughts, they don't even register in their brain. Like they can't even make that connection.
Those things are not even trendy, so nobody's even going to nobody is even going to be worried about it. It's not trendy, it's not cool. It's not cool. As long as you cannot be like this lady right here now, and she's look at, just listen to her and worship. You can what did I just do? You can see they are holding pictures of Ismail Haniyeh. They are holding his picture, and they're like, there is let's listen to I'm very sure like 60% of people here are not Muslims, but they're going
Frank,
to.
Look at how many stupid white people are in this freaking crowd. There's this one like kid there that looks like a clear lefty American with like the long hair and piercings, but you can see him just kind of looking around like, Allah, illallah, and he's like, Allah, Allah, Allah. Yes, and then go into this crowd and ask them about how they feel about billionaires. Go into this crowd, ask them, do an interview with them about how they feel about Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, and they'll be like, those guys are horrible. Yet they're putting up a picture of a guy who's worth $4 billion.
They're mourning the death of a billionaire, and these are the same people that'll be like, "It's the rich," you know. So I guess they hate billionaires as long as they are not Arabs. You know, I think that's
your logic is not logicking. You're not making any sense.
No, it's as long as you're not. This is not an Arab person, fine. As long as it's not an Arab, fine. As long as it's not an Arab or a Muslim, fine. If you're a billionaire, you are white or you are Jewish, then we have a problem. You look at it.
I gotta tell you, I think a big part of why a lot of these like stupid Americans. I'm American. I can say this as much as I want, but a lot of part of like why these dumb Americans gravitate to this cause. I swear, I have a big feeling it's to do with the kafia, because they want like merchandise. You know, they want branding, and for them, it's like exciting. Look how many random white people in this crowd have kafias on them. They're so excited about the concept of like holding this item. It's like, oh, I'm accepted into like this ethnic group. It's coming from Saudi Arabia. It's not even from the Levant. What are you guys on about?
This is what purposelessness look like. This is what I am bored. I have nothing going on in my life. I have nothing to do with this is what it looks like. In case you're wondering, what does it look like? How do you know it doesn't have direction? This is it. I have no direction.
Go fishing. Go get a hobby. I don't know. Go roller skating. Go do something with your life. What are you doing out here?
Some people, so much energy, no direction. They gather here and they're chanting whatever, holding pictures of people. If this person is white now and lives in America, they will be like, eat him up, you know, eat the rich, you know, let them pay their fair share, whatever, you know. That's what they will be chanting. But anyways, people like this that donate money to that make people like Ismail Haniyeh a billionaire, you know. So this is the billionaire that they made. This is Western made billionaire. This is not self-made. You know, billionaires like Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and these are self-made. I think Westerners don't like self-made billionaires. They like billionaires that they give money to, you know, that they give money to. So those are I'm just trying to explain what is going on here, you know. So maybe that's what is going on. Could be a good explanation. You guys are enemies of Allah. See? Every Zionist is an enemy. Here's the interesting part. Most of the people in that crowd are enemies of Allah. They just don't know it yet. That's the interesting part.
You say yet as if at one point they're gonna know. They're not gonna know.
They most likely till they die, may not even know that when they were shouting Zionists are enemies of Allah, that they too, the kuffars, that most of them are, right? You know, because I'm very sure there are a couple of queers in the crowd, right? They are also enemies of Allah. If you're not a Muslim, you're also an enemy of Allah. And the same thing that will happen to the Zionists, or they want to happen to the Zionists, is what is also they want to happen to you as well. As long as there is a tune to it, maybe if you have a ring to it, let's say you come up with wonderful chants. It's just as long as you can do that.
The chants are good. I gotta be honest. The chants have been good. They're all pretty catchy.
Very catchy. Very catchy. Yeah, it's not complete if without the banger.
Without the main drop.
Yes, without the hit single. You cannot. This concert is now over if they don't perform the hit single. Okay, So tell them to go.
Look,
Let's
dude,
see what else
look at wait, look at go. Can you go back there? Can we get back to that? Look at Jennifer down there, with the bottom left with the kafia. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go play football or something. What are you doing over there, Jennifer? Get out of there.
Jennifer is having fun. Jennifer is having
How did you end up in this crowd, Jennifer?
Jennifer has not had this much fun in a very long time. Okay, allow her. She's having a blast. This is very wonderful. This is crucial. She's standing for freedom. She's standing for liberty. She's standing for peace, whatever that looks like. She doesn't know what it is, but hey, you know. And this is maybe nightclubs are expensive, but this is very cheap. Free.
You know that Jennifer took a picture for her Instagram and uploaded it with a caption that said "Free Palestine," and then she put the Sudanese flag.
100%. She even did a TikTok. I was like,
and then the flag that she used for the emoji, she used the Sudanese flag for sure. For sure, she used the Sudanese flag. What are you doing in there, Jennifer?
I didn't know what you said. Sorry, it was kind of.
Oh, I'm saying she used the caption. She wrote "Free Palestine," and instead of using the Palestinian flag, she used the Sudanese flag for sure. For sure.
Yeah, one of that flag. They all look the same.
Jennifer, how did you end up in there? Look at her. Jennifer, she's like, get out of there. What are you doing, Jennifer? It's not your place.
I just remembered the meme. It's just now that I remember the meme. Jennifer, what are you doing?
Get out of there. What are you doing in there, Jennifer? Get out of there.
This has to be. They have to perform this one. Necessary. Without this, the protest is not over. Without this one, it's not over. How about? And then here's the wonderful flag, the flag of Hamas.
Fantastic. It's a political movement. That's okay.
And there's even Hezbollah. There's Hezbollah flag. Yeah, there's Hamas flag. Yeah, this is powerful. This is powerful. How is it possible? Why is it not a crime to even make these flags? Like, why is it not a crime? Like, making
our society in America is collapsing. I really don't know how to explain it in any other way. It's just the Western civilization that I grew up in is collapsing. It's collapsing. The foundations aren't there anymore. 20 years ago, I don't think that this would be allowed. I think that everybody would call it out. People would tear it down and slap the person in the face, and everybody would move on with their day. Nowadays, if you try to do something like that, you're going to start a riot where people are going to be looting stores in Times Square, and people are going to be like, "Free Palestine." This is why you don't take down Hamas flags.
And you have politicians who will be like, "Nah, you see, those people we are exercising their right to free expression." And a far right lunatic came and tore their flag. And can you imagine what these people are doing? They are trying to infringe the right of people who want to express themselves. This is a free that's what you have. People like what's her name? AOC Rashid what's her name now? Let me know. Rashida Tlaib. And you have people like this other one? All the people from the squad, what's that lady?
Ilhan Omar.
They will come and be like, look, these are the same people that will be like, Islamophobia. People should not be allowed to say stuff like this. Those same people will come out and be like, see, these people we are just, exercising their freedom of speech, and they were attacked by far-right lunatics, MAGA crowd, people who want to, the whole, how it will go now. They are your people. They are your fellow Americans.
It's really.
I don't know if you're aware of what is happening in the UK, like with the protests going on in the UK. I don't know if you're aware of it. Just
honestly, I don't think I saw any protests in the UK recently.
Oh, it's really like what is anyway. I will be having on Friday. I'll be having someone who is going to talk about it. There's a clash between like white people who have been tagged the far right and migrants who are like mostly Muslims, or as BBC will call them, Asians, right? So there's a clash between. No, there's a footage of the BBC reporter calling them. He said, "Oh, there are a couple of Asians behind me, and they are shouting. As you can hear, they are shouting, Allahu Akbar, Allahu." I'm telling you, it's a very funny.
Bearded Asians. There's a bunch of bearded Asians behind me.
Like, yeah, we all know that people from China, people from China are known for shouting Allahu Akbar. That is what they are known for doing.
Oh yeah.
BBC is very funny. Now this is why is my mouse not moving? This is the Lebanese foreign minister following the death of the deadly attack in Golan Heights, and talking about what will happen when Hezbollah chooses to escalate and who they will stand with. I don't understand. I really don't understand like the political situation in Lebanon. If you can help us to explain. There is a government.
I would be happy to.
There's a government in Lebanon, and that's not Hezbollah, right?
So there's three elements to Lebanon right now. There's a government, there's Hezbollah, and then there's the Lebanese army, right? The puppet government, which has like a prime minister and all the representatives, the foreign minister, financial minister, all of them have been infiltrated by Hezbollah. They all answer to Hezbollah. Every single one of them works in conjunction with Hezbollah. The Lebanese army, on some fronts, for example, the Lebanese army is supposed to be the army of the people. It's not the terrorist group Hezbollah. Their capacity is non-existent. Like, they can't actually fight any wars. They don't have any weapons. They don't have any funding because Lebanon is an immensely corrupt government, an immensely corrupt country. And basically, the Hezbollah has formed into Lebanon's de facto army at this point. There is an army called the Lebanese army, but it's dysfunctional. It can't actually function in the modern day. And to the point where on the southern border of Lebanon, right on the northern border of Israel, we have an agreement where Hezbollah is able to operate under the name the Lebanese army. So there's Lebanese army outposts that you see on the hilltops. You can literally stand on the border and see them. And they're not technically allowed to fire at you because they're Lebanese army. They're really Hezbollah. Right behind them over the hill, that's where they fire the rockets from. It's like the most ridiculous setup ever.
It's like, yeah, we had the Lebanese army in front. Behind us is just Hezbollah. That's powerful.
It's ridiculous.
Why? What happened at Lebanon? I say Lebanon.
Lebanon. That's what I say, dude. Frank, I'm proud of you. That's what I say on my stream. I say Lebanon.
Every mispronunciation is going to end up on a T-shirt. Lebanon, Alaska, and which other one again? Haniyeh.
Ismail Haniyeh.
Ismail Haniyeh. Lebanon, and which other one have I said thus far? So yeah, Alaska. Anyway, so how did he become like? How did the government get to this point? What happened that they got to this point where they have been completely infiltrated by terrorists, essentially?
So before we do, I just had a great T-shirt idea. Before we get into that, which is liberate Alaska from Ismail Haniyeh for the people of Lebanon on one shirt. Claps in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see some claps in the chat. Come on.
Powerful stuff, guys. Powerful stuff. That's what we are talking about.
So the answer to the situation in Lebanon, it's a few parts. It's not a simple situation. Actually, if you ask a lot of Lebanese people, a lot of them will actually blame Palestinians for part of the reason, because Palestinians did invade their country after the Nakba in 1948 and a few times after that. And they've tried to do multiple governmental coups the same way that they did in Jordan. They tried to kill political leaders. They caused suicide bombings. I mean, they've done horrific stuff to the people of Lebanon and in Egypt. That's one element of it. The Muslim Brotherhood and its influence over the Shia community in Lebanon versus the Sunni have influenced in a really, really, really bad way the society and the politics. And obviously, Lebanon used to be known as like the democracy of the Middle East, the most European country in the Middle East, when it was a Christian country. Lebanon's not an Arab country. Yes, they speak Arabic nowadays, but they're not an Arab country. Lebanon was an Aramaic people, the people of the Bible Belt, sort of. You know, they're some of the most ancient people of the Levant. A lot of them used to be Jewish people as well, or Christians, and they were Islamicized and Arabized during the conquest of Islam. And through that, we end up with this product of people with a massive identity crisis. When you mass convert a society from what they used to be into something else, and then you have all these influences like the Muslim Brotherhood, like Hamas, like Iran, who come in there and meddle with their interior politics, with their weapons, with their armies. You end up with a product like Hezbollah running the government. And a lot of people also don't know the horrific explosion in the port of Beirut that happened in 2021 that we all saw and were horrified by. That was directly from Hezbollah. Hezbollah had been stockpiling explosives in the port. And did they take any accountability? Was there any sanctions put on Hezbollah? Did Hezbollah suffer any consequences from that? No. They killed 1,000 people.
And why should they? When Muslims do something is perfect, they should go ahead and do it. Why should they suffer any cause? Why? These are people of God, okay? Hezbollah, people of God. They don't suffer any consequence for their actions. Unlike the evil Zionists, they have to suffer every time they do anything remotely resembling something that is wrong. Even when it is something good, you have to be like, no, the Jews have done it. But what's Hezbollah? People of God. Remember? That is what Hezbollah means. People of God. Exactly. When they do something, you have to anything they do is kind. It's wonderful. It's just godly. So, and here's the foreign minister of Lebanon. And what he had. Lebanon.
Frank, there seems to be a little bit of an echo when I'm talking. I don't know why. Yeah.
Is it still there now?
I can hear it on my end. Yeah, I can still hear it.
Oh, I have no idea why that is the case. Maybe it's me. I'm
not sure what it is. People in the chat were writing it as well.
Keep talking. Let's see if it
Hello. Testing echo. Testing. It's still going on right now.
My village people have come for this. My village people are at work. People from my village, they are like, hey, he's live. Let's go and do something.
I wonder what it is. It's like a very slight echo.
Yeah.
Let me disconnect my microphone real quick. Let's see if it's me.
I think it's my village. My village people are at work. They're like, no, we'll not let this live stream continue. It can't continue. So let's see.
Let's see if this is better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is there still an echo?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there shouldn't be an echo. The echo usually comes up when I start sharing my screen. That is when.
Okay, so I think it's gone.
Yeah, once I stop sharing it. It's still there?
Yeah, it's still there.
It's not from me. Oh. Hey, this is Allah at work. Allah is at work. Like, let us.
Allah. Okay, now it seems to be gone.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right.
Hopefully.
It's
the evil Zionists.
Jews control the weather, but they don't want to control my live stream to make sure that it doesn't go bad. What's happening? What is happening?
قتلوا بالجولان هم عرب وليسوا إسرائيليين. وثانيا الجولان ليست إسرائيلية مع أنهم أخذوها، لكن الأمم المتحدة لا تعترف بأن الجولان إسرائيلية بل هي سورية. فلذلك ليس هناك عذر للدفاع عن النفس، ما حدا هاجمهم.
Did you hear what they said?
Oh, nobody attacked it. Fantastic. So there's no problem.
Yeah, he's saying that the Golan Heights is not recognized as part of Israel. It's seen as part of Syria. So nobody attacked Israel. They just attacked Syria, and Israel has no justification to respond.
And then obviously nothing bad happened, right? Because it's just Arabs killing more Arab people. So there's no point.
Yeah,
nobody needs to respond. Nothing
Nobody
bad
needs to.
happened.
It's just Arabs killing Arabs. What's no big deal?
That's just a casual Wednesday.
I just like how they don't have the value. They really have huge value for the people who don't value Arab lives, the lives of Arabs, are Arabs themselves. The Muslims who don't value the lives of other Muslims are Muslims themselves. Muslims, you recognize that these are Arabs, you recognize that these are Muslims, and that they've been killed, and you're like, no, there's no need to, there's no justification for a response attack after this attack, because the Arabs, it's Arabs who we are killed. So
let's not make a big deal out of this. We don't need to make a big deal out of this. It's just some Arabs killing some other Arabs. We don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, Israel has no reason to respond. It's not like a Jew was killed.
ما بعرف مين اللي هاجم، لأن حزب الله ينفي انه هو اللي هاجم، واسرائيل تدعي انه حزب الله. يمكن بالغلط اسرائيل عملتها، يمكن بالغلط حزب الله عملها. حزب الله.
Yeah, that's what Jews do. They fire rockets into Arab populated areas using rockets made in Iran. It's kind of that's how Jews operate.
Also, lovely that he follows up with Hezbollah does not attack civilians in Israel. So why would it attack civilians in Syria? It does attack civilians in Israel, and literally this week said it will continue to attack civilians in Israel. But again, it doesn't matter. When you live in an Arab world, I've said this so many times, when you live in a happy-go-lucky Arab world, Arab society, everything's good, because at the end of the day, the goal, even if you're just a casual Arab, the goal is world domination. You're not content with anything beyond everybody being Arab and everybody being Muslim, because it's a supremacist society. It's a society built on supremacy. White supremacy is horrible. Arab supremacy is horrible. It's the same evil. It's the same exact thing. That's why things like this statement are justified in the Arab world.
Yes. It's like they can go ahead and do this, and it's fine. Nobody should have a problem with it, you know.
لا يهاجم المدنيين في إسرائيل، فلماذا يهاجم المدنيين في سوريا؟
ممكن إسرائيل تفتعل.
Did you say something?
No.
Oh, okay.
هذه الحادثة لتبرير هجوم على لبنان مثلا؟
قد تكون ذلك، لا أعرف. إذا حدث الحرب طبعا نحن ضد إسرائيل من دون شك.
There you have it. If a war breaks out, Hezbollah has shown, Lebanon has shown whose side they will be on. They will be on the side of Hezbollah. They will be against Israel.
There's two parts to this statement. One, this guy is only saying this because off camera he's got a guy with a gun to his head. As professional they look in their suits and everything, be warned. There is a guy in that studio with an AK-47 pointing it at this man. No joke. In some context or another, Hezbollah is in that building, not allowing this man to speak his honest thoughts. That's one thing to remember. The second element of it, most of the Lebanese people, the people in Beirut I've been talking to, are begging. They're begging for Israel to invade. They're dying for Israel to come and destroy Hezbollah because they can't stand it anymore. But I'll say the main problem with Hezbollah, with Lebanese society, they hate Israel and they hate Zionists. They're so anti-Semitic. And this is just general Lebanese society. I'm talking about the normal Lebanese person. They are so racist against Jewish people that it makes them hate Israel more than they hate Hezbollah, the actual people oppressing them. Israel doesn't oppress Lebanon. Israel has no business in Lebanon anymore. Israel doesn't work with Lebanon. It doesn't do anything. Lebanon and Israel are pretty much living in two different realities at this point. We haven't even had an active war in over 20 years. So to pretend like Israel is somehow affecting Lebanese society in any sort of meaningful way, it just goes back to that, like the anti-Semitism, the hatred of Jewish people is deeply rooted inside of their society. And they get to be lazy. They get to just say, we hate the Jews more than we actually hate Hezbollah, so we'll just side with Hezbollah. And that's a real problem. That's cancer. That's a cancer to your society.
Where you hate you hate a group of foreigners more than you hate the people who are standing in the way of your progress, essentially. And what have Jews done to the Lebanese people? No? And I believe Lebanon is majority Muslim, right? How many percent Muslims are they?
I think it's over 70% now, or over 60% is Muslim. I mean, it used to be the most populous Christian country in the Middle East. It's not anymore. And also, they ethnically cleansed all of their Jews. That's something to keep in mind. There's no Jewish people left in Lebanon. They ethnically cleansed all of them.
And he's also on par with what you expect in an Islamic society, because hatred for Jews, hatred for religious minorities, just hatred for people who are not Muslims is celebrated, taught, encouraged. That's how these people are taught to live. You know, you should not be friends with these people. These people are enemies of your God. They are enemies of you. If you read the Quran, you see, and even the Hadith, you see Muhammad and his God, Allah, also given in the mind of Muslims this idea that any person who is not a Muslim is just conspiring against you. They are trying to tear you apart. They are trying to destroy you. So, and then you are also commanded, right, to go out there and fight them. So you put all of this together, you can understand the hatred. It's coming from a religious, hatred that is taught to them by the Quran and the Hadith. And when they go to their mosque, they are reminded of this. When they go to imagine a religion. This is one thing I always say about Islam. Imagine a religion where they pray 5 times a day, and in their 5 times a day prayer, there's something they recite up to 17 times every day. Some days is less, but for most of the time is 17 times they have to recite this. And what they are reciting is Surah Al-Fatiha, and a part who says that guide us towards the straight path, not the path of those whom you have cursed, or the path of those who have gone astray. And the people that they mean, the path of those who have been cursed, are the Jews. So every day they are constantly reminded when they are praying that there are people who are cursed by Almighty Allah, and those people are the Jews. And with that statement, one thing about that statement, you might look at it and be like, okay, it's one thing to believe that a particular group is cursed, but why are they cursed? They believe that the Jews are cursed because what is the reason? There are many reasons that you find in the tafsir. Some of them is that they killed the prophets. They are responsible for the death of Muhammad. They are evil. They are treacherous. You cannot trust them. Every anti-Semitic statement imaginable is attributed to that group, and because of that, they are cursed. And then every day when you pray, you are reminded that these people are cursed, and you are saying that to yourself over and over and over every day, 17 times a day. Now imagine what that does to a group of people. So which is one thing. When I speak to people and they talk about, okay, but there is a moderate form of Islam. First question I want to ask to any person who considers himself a Muslim moderate, right? How do you interpret Surah 1, the last verse? How do you interpret it? Let us that is how you interpret it is going to make me judge how much of a moderate you are. If you see it as just this verse is just referring to people who have gone astray, just random people. Okay, fine. And I hope when you tell me that you're not engaging in taqiyya, you're not lying, when indeed you feel, it's actually the Jews and the Christians. Because if you see somebody who interprets it as, yes, it is referring to the Jews and the Christians, that for me is an Islamist. That for me is the definition of an Islamist. And is that not the right definition? And by extension, every devout Muslim is an Islamist. So when you have a nation that is 70% Muslim, you're always going to have that anti-Christian, anti-Jewish sentiment, in that anti-religious minority sentiment, or religious minority sentiment in that area. It is going to be predominant. It's going to be what is obtainable. You find it in Lebanon, you find it in northern Nigeria, you find it in Sudan, you find it in Algeria, you find it in Libya, you find it anywhere you find Muslims that being the majority. You find it in Egypt, you find it everywhere. So that is what you get. That is what you get, guys. And yes, I believe that there are I believe that there are Muslims who have another interpretation or even don't know what of course, there are Muslims who recite the prayer and don't even know what it means in Arabic. There are those, and there are those who know the meaning in Arabic but don't know who it is referring to. But anyone who does and know what it is referring to and still pray that prayer every day, which I believe is most people who are fervent and devout, then they are going to definitely, hate Jews, hate Christians, hate Hindus, hate, any person who is not a Muslim. What is there anything you want to say about this? My rambling. This is my Islamophobic rambling. Is there anything you want to add to it?
You went on a very beautiful rant. I couldn't agree more. I think like the general gist of it is like y'all already won the Middle East. You got it. You took the region. You got everything. You colonized it. You spread your Islamofascism everywhere. You got all the major governments. You got all the oil fields. You spread an empire from Morocco, to Saudi Arabia to Iran. You got it all. We're keeping one piece of land, and we're not allowing you to do that there. Suck it up. Deal with it. That's the main message. Is here you go. You got this giant expanse of land. It's all screwed up. You guys messed up all of it. Don't come into our backyard. We own this. We run this. This is our piece of land. We're offering peace to your people. 2 million of them live amongst us in peace. Best quality of life in the whole Middle East, as opposed to any one of your countries. You guys want to run every single one of your countries into the ground? Be my guest. Go for it. Do it. Go. No one's going to stop you. No one from our end is going to say, no, please, 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 save Egypt. We don't care. Let Egypt crumble. Let Lebanon crumble. Let Syria crumble. They're all crumbling already. Let Jordan crumble one by one. I don't care. We're not going to let you crumble this one. We're going to keep this one. We're going to keep this one. We're going to keep doing good stuff here. You guys have millions of kilometers of land to expand on, to do whatever the heck you want to do. Go do it. Be my guest.
And you still find them fighting for land. They're doing it in Sudan. You also have Somalians who are like, one day we'll take over parts of Kenya. We'll take over parts of Ethiopia. You find them in northern Nigeria. You've already.
It's never enough.
It is not enough. It is never enough for them. It's the whole world. The whole world, right? And I don't know how these Muslims, even many of them think, like many of these people who believe this thing strongly. I don't know how you look at what has become of your society, and you're like, yeah, I want this on every part of the world. Come on.
Yeah, it's like I want to keep spreading this horrible system that's not working anywhere else.
Yeah, this thing that is not working for me, I want to spread it. It's so,
like really, it didn't work in any of my home countries. Let me spread it to the UK. I'm sure it'll work there.
Yeah, it will work there. I'm very sure it will work. Where it will work is somewhere else. Let us export it. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting to see. Let me see if there's any more clip that. I don't know why my mouse is not working. I have to use the one on my laptop. Let me see if there's more clips to look at before we. Okay, there's this one that is very interesting. It is very interesting one about a Yazidi lady or girl who was found in Palestine. Like somebody who was sold as a sex slave.
Oh,
by ISIS. Found in Gaza. It's not any other Palestine, but Gaza. Is that not fantastic? Yes.
To convert you or kill you. So the ISIS took the most brutal genocide against the Yazidi. They killed thousands of them and kidnapped over 7,000. And we still have over 2,700 are missing or held by ISIS families in the Middle Eastern region. One of the girls just was able to contact the family. She was 11 years old at the time of her abduction, and now she found in Gaza Strip. She's screaming for help, somebody to rescue her. So who do we contact?
It's also funny. It is tragic, but it's also funny. Like, how did she end up in? I thought people in Gaza didn't have money. So imagine that you are so prosperous in your refugee camp that you were able to buy a sex slave from Syria and bring them over to Gaza. That is. These people are fantastic people.
I'm at a loss for words. I'm really at a loss for words. I mean, I saw this video this week, and if none of you guys listening know about the plight of the Yazidi people, in line with the plight of the Kurdistani people and what ISIS has done to them, it is a horrific story. The whole term of sabaya, which is a term that Arabs had been using for a while to demean Yazidi women when they were taking them as sex slaves and hostages. That was also used on October 7th by Hamas Palestinians who came in and abducted Israeli women. They called them sabaya. Sabaya in Arabic just means girl, but in the context when you use it as an Arab man who's abducting a woman, it means a sex slave. It means a concubine. And that's the kind of culture you want to export to the West. That's what you want to raise a freaking Hamas flag in Times Square. This is what you want. You want this coming to Connecticut, Becky? For real? That's what you want? Fine. Let's have it in Connecticut.
I love this.
Let's do it in Connecticut. Let's go. But there's no more Walmart and Target when this happens, because everything needs to be halal after that. Everything is Sharia, Becky. You don't get to just drive around anymore in your Ford Explorer, Becky. It changes. Life changes when you propagate the rape of Yazidi women. Sorry, this topic really frustrates me. It gets me really pissed off.
No. Honestly, it is really, really frustrating. There are many things that talking about that really get me frustrated. One of them is talking about, like, at the beginning, I was like, okay, we need to dismantle so many misinformation and stuff that is going around. But after a while, you are like, are people even listening? Is somebody paying attention? Anybody, can you hear me? Am I talking to myself? You know, another topic that frustrates me to talk about is like what is going on in Nigeria. Like, I'm like, it's just frustrating to talk about. It's really frustrating because anything I'm going to say, the average Nigerian will be like, yeah, we know it. You know, you're not saying anything new. I'm like, yeah, and yet nothing has changed. You know, and yet nothing.
Just to give you a heads up, by the way, Donald Trump just came out and said that we're definitely going to be attacked tonight. Anthony Blinken was saying that earlier he had a conversation with Bibi Netanyahu. They were saying that there's a chance that we might be attacked today or tomorrow. But the Israeli sources just said that there was a conversation with Donald Trump and he got information that tonight the attack is happening for sure tonight. Wow, that's crazy. That just came through right now.
That's interesting. That is interesting. How do you feel as somebody who is staying in Israel right now, getting this news? What is your immediate reaction? Let's hear it.
Look at this, guys. This is a picture of the... You know, I have all this stuff coming through on Telegram. This is the skies over the Middle East right now. There's no flights coming in. This is exactly what happened last time Iran attacked us. All the flights were rerouted. Look, there's a direct line from Tehran to Tel Aviv right now, open. Look at that line. That's crazy. I think it might happen. That's nuts. How do I feel? I feel like I've been waiting, you know, like I kind of want to move on with my life. I've been waiting for a few days now. I'm like, it's not ideal, but like, yalla, let's go. Come on, let's begin the process.
Let's go. Come on. Throw your hands. Throw hands. Let's go.
It's not going to be fun. I'm not excited for it, but like, I'm ready to move forward, you know?
Yeah. Let's attack us. Let us know that you're done with it. And then we'll respond and then we'll call it a day. You know, and all of this is because a billionaire is dead. Yeah. So
yeah. I'm so happy that we need to go to a regional war for a billionaire who stole money off the backs of people. It's fantastic. So good.
It's interesting. The Middle East is a very interesting place where if you're a terrible person, you steal money and you die, people are going to, you know, they're going to celebrate your death by launching rockets into another country. and they're putting so many lives at risk. That's what happens in the Middle East. That is fantastic. It's fantastic. I really cannot imagine how it is like. You know, there was a time I was thinking about living in a place like Israel, you know, like a place where you're always, there's a likelihood of you getting attacked. And I'm like, nah, I cannot live there.
There was a video I was watching on Instagram by this, I'm not going to say names, but there are a page that promotes peace, you know, between Israelis and Palestinians. And I had a recent reaction to one of their pieces of content because they made a video sort of like whitewashing the history of Palestinian extremism, and they were like, at the end of the day, peace is possible between Israelis and Palestinians. I'm like, listen very carefully, Habibi. This region has never seen peace, ever, not in the history. If you think that that we're going to get some sort of peace someday between Israelis and Palestinians, you got another thing coming. This region has never been peaceful. When there was one extremist, another extremist replaced its place, and that cycle is going to continue going on forever. Does it mean we should not strive for peace? No, I think we should strive for the best peace we can possibly do.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend like this region is some la la land. You know, this isn't Western Europe. This is an extremely violent region, and it's been extremely violent forever, for the last 10,000 years.
Yeah, for me, I feel one of the possible is peace possible? Yes. But are people willing to pay the price for that peace? Or will the West even be okay, or the rest of the world be okay with what it will cost to achieve the peace? No, because people need to come to terms with the fact that, okay, the culture, the religion in the Middle East that promotes this violence needs to be, you know, attacked. And for you to attack that culture and that religion, it means that you need to colonize the region. That is the solution. You need to, for example, now the place like Gaza. Is it that the Gazans? I was talking with Rebecca about this, and this is what she said, and I agree with her 100%. Is it that the Gazans people in Gaza continue to attack Israel once in a while, and then there is a response, and over time they just kill themselves out, they die out, or a foreign power comes there, takes over that society, colonize the society, get rid of every extremist element in that society, just like they did in places like Japan, right? After the Second World War. You have to do something like that. It has to be something like that, where you have to, and it will take a very long time to get rid of all the extreme ideology, and whether it be it in the culture or in the religion of that society. That is the only way that people like that are going to let go of the violent mentality that they have. That's the only way. And these days, anything that is colonial, be it cultural or economical, is frowned upon. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so
we live in an upside down world, to be honest. It's like everything is backwards.
I guess for people like people in Gaza, is going to be option one. They keep attacking, and keep dying until they die out. And when they die out, of course, they're going to say, you see, this is what the Jews always wanted. They wanted to wipe us out. Yeah.
But then Palestinians also get to claim, you know, like they get to claim they're also Jews, they're Phoenicians, they're Philistines, they're Canaanites. They get to get wiped out, but also there's a genocide, but also they are everyone. They're everyone and everything at the same. Everything is Palestine and everyone is Muslim.
Yeah, so it's well. I really wish peace to people in the Middle East, and I hope that I hope God intervenes. It's only God that can help people. It's only God and the IDF that can help.
A lot of people say sometimes they can't find God in this region. They have a hard time locating where God is. It feels like his presence or God's presence isn't here. And I always ask people to sort of like align that view to more of like, you can see God or the holiness, whatever you want to believe in. You don't have to believe in God. You can believe in the universe, whatever you want to believe in. You can find that spirituality, the holiness in everything in this region, in spite of all the violence around it. You know, the fact that cultures like ours are able to persevere miraculously every single time we have is miraculous. You know, the attack from Iran in April was a miracle as well. The fact that we have the defense capabilities on this small nation that is targeted by over 380 million people in the region, and we're this small little group of people. And the fact that we're able to withhold an attack from 4 different nations 99% interception rate. 99% interception rate. That is nothing short of a miracle. That is a miracle.
It
and
is.
whatever happens tonight, if there's an attack tonight, however the horrific the outcome will be, Tal can tell you right now, the fact that a majority of us will be standing proudly after the attack and be able and ready to fight again is nothing short of a miracle.
True. I agree with you. No, the idea that you cannot find God in a disaster reading area is, in fact, I feel one of the places where people even find it hard to find God is when they are having a blast in a place like the United States or Europe, where everything is fine. If you go to places where people are suffering, the way they hold on to God is is something out of the ordinary. And I believe that is people who find themselves in that situation that see the hand of the Almighty. Is where there you know that it's in that situation that you know that God is indeed the only one that is keeping us. Like the Bible says, had it not been for the mercies of God, we will have been consumed. If not for God's mercies, we will have been consumed. And that's what you see in places like Israel. If not for God's mercy, we won't exist. We won't be here. And it's enough reason to believe. And I strongly believe, like many Nigerian Christians in Nigeria, that God is with the nation of Israel. I believe that God is 100% with that nation, and that God is going to, make the nation victorious, because they're going to rise victorious in spite of everything that is coming. This is going to be another testimony. I believe that strongly. So,
I think that if you look at it objectively, I'm a Jew, so I have bias, but like if you look at it objectively, right, whether you want to look at it a Christian worldview, a Muslim worldview, look at the nation of Islam, right? Look at the Ummah. Look at them around the world. Look at their standing. Look at their technology. Look at their finance. Look at their success in the world. Look at what they've brought into the world in the last 50 to 100 years. And then look at the Jewish people. And look at how the Jewish people, in spite of all of their oppression towards us, and how the Muslims have been nothing but oppressing us for the last 600, 700 years, even longer, 900 years. Look at if there isn't something there to be claimed that God is with us, or a higher power is standing with us and not standing with the Ummah, then I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to say, because the Ummah is either not on God's side, or has God is angry with them or something, because obviously there's a lot of good people in the Ummah. There's a lot of good Muslims that exist out there. There are, nobody can deny that. But where is God? Because the Ummah isn't looking so hot. The Ummah is busy with violence and corruption and with greed, while you have this one little nation of Jewish people that's overwhelmingly succeeding.
Successful. Yeah. And the Muslims always say, "Oh, God is testing us." I like the God of the Muslims. He's always testing them. Always. They are always going to be on that serious test that they don't seem to. This test, they don't seem to pass it. They are always fail. Because they are not progress. Anywhere you find them, they are not progressing. Like in Nigeria, maybe you're familiar with the situation in Nigeria. You have the northern part and you have the southern part, and people in the south, they are more successful and they are mostly Christians. People in the north, they are less successful and they are mostly Muslims, right? And of course, it's always God is testing us. God is testing us. God is trying to see if we. I'm like, yeah, maybe not. Maybe there's something about your ideology. Maybe there's something about how the culture it has created. Like, look at it. It's only in northern Nigeria, for example, that you see a man is planning to get married to 4 women. This man does not have enough to take care of himself or take care of his children, but he's going to get married to four women. He's going to push out a lot of children that he doesn't even have any idea of how he's going to take care of them. He's going to leave them in the hands of Almighty Allah. And then his society is going to be filled with terrorists, most of them the children that he produced, right? And then when all of this is happening, he cannot sit down and trace his action and be like, okay, my problem started when I started having too many children that I cannot take care of, believing that God is going to take care of them for me, believing that God has given me the right to marry 4 women, even though I don't have enough to take care of them. And I also have an ideology that tells my children that it is okay for them to blow themselves up because, there is something waiting for them in heaven. I cannot make all this connection and see that the reason why the society I'm creating is the way it is because of these are the series of actions that I'm taking linked to my religion, and this is what it is creating. They cannot make that connection. Instead, what comes to their mind is that their imam is going to tell them, God is testing you. I'm like, no, you can. There's like, if you sit down, just be sober for a moment, get high, whatever Islamic high you are on, or whatever it is that you are smoking, get off that thing, relax, trace, or like have like a moment of let me trace everything I've done in my life. Let me put all of them on the table and look at all of them and see how, cause and effect has been happening in my life. If you can just sit down and do that, you realize why you are where you are today. It has nothing to do with God testing you. It is you doing it to yourself. You are the one doing it to yourself. But the average Muslim person, let me show you this clip. I was not planning to show you, but let me.
But you know what you're talking about is called taking accountability. It's called personal responsibility, which the Muslim Arab world is incapable of doing. What they'll do is, instead of doing all that, they'll go, oh no, it's the Westerners oppressing me. It's the West oppressing me. I'm like, what happened to the powerful ummah? What happened to this Arab nation of power and society and religion and culture? What happened to you that every answer is always the West is oppressing you?
It's always someone else's fault. It is never theirs. It is someone else's fault. Someone else is doing it to them. Like in Nigeria, they say it's the Igbos. The Igbos are the ones that are doing it. The Igbos, since 1966, we've not had an Igbo president in this country. It has been Hausas and Yorubas. Not a single, yet it is the Igbos that are oppressing you. No, you don't know what your problem is. Just continue blaming it on somebody. One day you will realize what your problem is. So their leaders, and the leaders are so good at convincing them of I really, the way these people have been conditioned. Somebody needs to study it and maybe replicate it, because if you want to really be the leader of the world, as we've realized that the world is filled with stupid people, this is the best way to do it.
Amen.
I'm telling you,
the world, no, there really is. The world is full of really, really, really dumb people, unfortunately.
This is the best way to do it. You convince them of this nonsense. I'm telling you, you have an army of people. Like, although this is not, this is not the clip I want to show. There's one I want to. What did I do? There's one I want to show of a Pakistani Muslim preacher, and something that he said, and he said it with confidence, and he thought he was saying something like profound and wise. I just want you to look at what he said, so you understand the mindset of the average Muslim and why they are the way they are. Okay, yeah. This is the shot that he created. Sorry, posted on his Twitter. This is his Twitter handle, and even he's on tour in many Muslim countries, trying to awaken the ummah, or how do you pronounce that stuff?
There are many philosophies in the world. You name a community, it's going to be backed up by an ideology. That ideology will be connected through some sort of a philosophy in some part of the era. We do not have that sort of misfortune. All of that burden of thinking, philosophy, theorizing, and then contemplating the bigger truths was done by our Prophet ﷺ. We don't have to go through that burden, which the Europeans had to go through over and over and over again into 15, 16, 1700. And so, till date, the postmodernist philosophers are at it. They have to go every single day, recorrecting themselves. And 10 years from any publication of any book, from, let's just say, Nietzsche to this time, or whoever is publishing right now, 10 years from now, it will be refuted. There are many philosophies in the world. You
understand what he just said?
My first reaction, I kind of want to slap this guy. I got to be honest. I'm not a violent person. He just annoys me. He's very annoying.
As many people in the world, people are engaging in thinking, theorizing, philosophizing, trying to understand the bigger truths. But the Muslims, don't have to do that. That, Allah has freed them from this burden because Muhammad has done it for them.
Yeah, luckily he did it for them in the 6th century, and it's totally valid until now. I'm so happy that all these societal rules of gang rape and lying is good. It's valid from the 6th century till 2024.
And he's 100% right. That's why Islam cannot update itself. It cannot it cannot be modernized. It cannot be improved. It cannot be made better. There's no innovation in this religion. Nothing. Okay? Because it was in Muhammad, it is finished. Okay? Done and dusted. So these are I just want people to understand that these are the people you are dealing with. These are the kind of people you are dealing with. This is the kind of mentality you are dealing with. And that is why it is hard to let people realize, look, this is where your problem is coming from. No, that's not what the Quran said. Okay? That is not what the Quran said. Whatever you think is their problem is not what the Quran said. Allah has freed them from the burden of thinking. Anyway,
you sum that up perfectly. For these like extremist Muslims, it's like Allah has literally freed them from the burden of critical thinking skills. Like you get to just be a zombie your whole life. Everybody will think for you. They'll tell you what to think, how to act, how to feel, and you don't have to do any of it for yourself.
No, you don't have to. That is the cause of Western civilization. That you have to think. Okay? The blessing of Islam, the great blessing, the great beauty of Islam is that you don't have to think. Is that not powerful?
This is what I'll say is like one of my favorite things about being Jewish is that I know you want to read the super chats, but I want to add this like
it's fine. Just give
our second holiest book called the Talmud in like modern Orthodox Judaism. You know, we have the Torah, which is the Old Testament written down, and the Talmud is the oral Torah, which we base off a lot of the rules and tradition that we have. The whole book is based off of asking questions, and you never get a conclusive answer. Like the idea of critical thinking in Judaism is integral to how we carry ourselves as people. That's why you see so much innovation. And that's why Islam doesn't work large scale, because you shouldn't have a group of 2 billion people who say, I'm just going to close my mind. I don't want to think. Like, that's not how it should work. You should be. God gave you this amazing brain to be able to think and problem solve and figure out issues to complex things. And that's what we do as Jewish people. That's all we do all day. That's our whole life motto. Why not take that element? Why not do something like that? You know, you don't need to be a Jew to do that. Anybody could do that.
Yeah, maybe I think the secret that Muhammad was able to uncover is that having an army of free thinking people is not as effective as having an army of zombies. And Muhammad created for himself.
I want to show this, by the way. I was talking about memes of the attacks, by the way. So I was just sent this right now.
I cannot read it in Hebrew.
So you can see in the top, it says save the date. The dates are for this week. It says in Hebrew, the big attack. Behishtatfut means in cooperation. Iran, Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. And then it says Mofa Poteach, the opening show is going to be Hamas. It says expect drones, intercontinental ballistic missiles. We'll be happy to see you. Come, it's going to be a blast. That's what it says. This is what I love about Israel. This is what I was talking about. This is what we do with our time. Instead of being scared, we do this stuff. I love this country. I really do.
That's the trend. I really like that. I really do. Pagan Games, thank you. Pagans Games, thank you for the for gifting 5 Nigerian perspective. If not for people gifting memberships, we won't have any member on this channel. Not a single one. Thank you all. This is from Chief Chafter. The religion of peace strikes back. Strikes again. They didn't strike back. Not like somebody struck them and they are striking back. They struck again. This is from I don't know how to pronounce your name. The Return of the Jihad 1. I mean, it's not the Return of the Jedi. It is the Return of the Jihad. Jax just get the 5 membership. Thank you so much. And she said, never give in and never give up, never bow down to evil. Never. We will not do that. We will never do that in this part. That's not what we do. You understand? We will not do that. And she also gifted another, as you can see. If not for Jax, I won't have any member. This is a fact. You can see another 5 Nigerian membership below. She gifted another one. If not for Jax, I won't have it. She is 100%. 100%. Islam, ? Last eternally. When it says in the Quran that Islam will become smaller and slither back into the hole it came from. one thing about Muhammad is that he made so many predictions. Okay, he made so many predictions of what will happen to his nation. So many. So anyone that had this is how you know somebody is doing guesswork. It's like when people say things like what's now this guy now Alex Jones, for example. People say, oh, some of the things that Alex Jones said became true. It turned out that he was right. I'm like, yes, when you say so many things, one of them will be right. One will be right. So Muhammad was giving out many theories or prophecies about how his nation will end. And one of them will be true. You know, the woman will become big and the woman will become small. You know, one of them will happen.
And then they'll stand on the rooftops and be like, you see, Allah was right. Muhammad alayhi wasallam was correct.
Yeah, because he said many things. One of them will happen. One of them will happen eventually. That's how you know a fake prophet. He said your target proved their cowardice beyond the shadow of doubt. They run and hide and cry as soon as there is a retaliation. Yeah, attacking children, attacking women. This is to tell you the strength of Islam or the strength of Islamists. You know, when you just target the most fun. You know, this is why when Rebecca compares Islamists to Amalekites, I see the comparison because people don't know the story of the Amalekites in the Bible. The first time they had a confrontation with the Jews was when the Jews we are walking through, you know, the desert to Canaan, right? And the way the Amalekites attacked them was from behind. Okay, the Amalekites attacked from behind, and behind is where you have the weak people, the people who are tired, people who don't have enough strength to keep moving. Okay, that was where the Amalekites started their attack. The same way with the Islamists, they go for the most vulnerable, people who are behind, and that is where they beat their chest when they attack women and children. They're like, "Yeah, look at us, we are strong. God has given us victory." And then when you face them head on and you defeat them, they are victims. You know. So yeah. And just as I say, we are proud. 100%. 100%. All right, guys. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to some of the things I have said, Tom.
No, I feel like you've summed it up beautifully, my Nigerian brother. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and I have my my very good friend here. Say, Frank, why you never good English, please? Why have you? I'm trying to put this in proper grammar, but it's difficult for me. Okay, put it in a super chat so that if I'm reading this to give me pleasure that at least you paid money for this. But anyway, I will highlight it and read it. Frank, why you never interview anyone from the other side? Why? What is the point of this life? If it is pointless, you can always not watch. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. If it is pointless, you can save your data and your time and not watch me. Okay?
Save that data, baby.
Save it. There's no point. If you believe that everything we've done thus far is pointless, you don't have to watch it.
We're educating people. It's important.
Yeah,
it's important. It's important
too.
You know how important it is that you have to. And I don't like to bring color politics into it right now, but like, do you know how amazing it is that you have a black man from Africa and a brown Israeli sitting down for a show to talk about Zionism, being critical of mass Islam and Islamism? Do you know how amazing that is? I don't think people understand how special the fact that you and I have the freedom in 2024 to broadcast this to people. People are out there today, those people that we were watching in those Hamas protesting, denying that people like me and Frank even exist. Yes. Denying our right to speak. You know how amazing it is that we get to broadcast this to over 380,000 subscribers that Frank has in his channel and over 250,000 subscribers that I have on mine. That's power of over 500,000 people that we combine get to broadcast together to. That's amazing.
And it is necessary. It is necessary to see that you don't, which is one thing that I want Roger to understand. You don't have to, okay? You don't have to be in the Middle East, live all your life in the Middle East to understand what is going on and to articulate it and to say something about it. You don't have to. These things are things that you can read about, learn about, have a conversation about, and arrive to the truth on without being from that region. Just like there are so many people, so many. Let me. It will be interesting for you to understand that so many things I've learned about Africa, so many things I've learned about Nigeria, have been things written by people who were not Nigerians. These are most of African history were written by non-Africans. You might interest you to know it was not written by Africans, and we read them and we study them because people came with the intention to learn. Okay, and there's something a foreign eyes see that a native does not see. Okay, so this idea, oh, you are not from this region, then you have nothing to say about this. Oh, who are you to talk about? Oh, please. And again, the thing we are dealing with, the issue, the root cause of this issue is it doesn't just exist in Israel. It exists many parts of the world. Okay, the difference in Israel is that Israel is one of the few places where they can fight back. Okay, in northern Nigeria, they can't. The government is even siding with the Muslims. That's what you find in other places. In Pakistan, is the same thing. Those religious minorities can't fight back. That is the only difference. But how Islamists operate, how they attack, what they do, is the same. Okay, so this idea, oh, you have to actually live in Saudi Arabia before you can talk about Islam. Please, come on. That is a ridiculous way to look at things. Look at this interesting one. One more before we go. I know you're already tired, but just one more. I like.
I'm just bracing for impact. I'm nervous. I just got a wedding invitation to the event, you know.
Meanwhile, Roger wants you to know that kids are dying in Gaza. Do you know? This is the first time I'm hearing this. Do you know? I didn't know.
I really don't respect Roger here standing on the graves of dead children in Gaza. I want to add something because he's been super critical in the chat. I can see here. I want you to say something. I want you to understand something, that why Frank has so much more of a perspective than you might even have is right now in Gaza, there is a neighborhood called Al-Abid, which literally translates to the slave neighborhood for all the Afro-Palestinians who live in Gaza. There are people in the West who would look at the Afro-Palestinians, that would look at the Afro-Bedouins that exist in Israel and in Gaza proper, and they would racially profiling them as Africans, as black, and they'll just throw them to the side. They'll negate their opinions. They'll negate their perspective. If Frank in Nigeria is able to look at the extremism that's happening in his nation and is able to call it out now in Nigeria and say, I don't want this to expand. I don't want there to be a place in Nigeria called Al-Abid for Arabs to own slaves who are black, who happen to be Afro-Palestinians. That's something that you, Roger, should be able to look at and say, voila, I have respect for this man. He's not disconnected from this issue. He's not disconnected from this issue because he lives in Nigeria. He's dealing with it face to face every single day, like all of us who live in this region.
Oh, there's one interesting story about Roger. Since he's on the chat and I'm recognizing him, let me give him airtime. There's an interesting story that happened. Many of you are aware of this. So,
Roger is the guy from that channel, right? I forgot the name of the channel. Middle East Eye.
Middle East no, not Middle East Eye. Middle East Witness.
Middle East Eye
is an Islamic.
That's an extremist. Yeah.
They're very extremist. Please don't associate. Roger has so many, but being an Islamist is not one of them. Okay. Anyway, so when the first time I had you on my channel, where we were talking about the hostage rescue situation and stuff like that, he was in the chat too, talking about how Israel should have conducted the hostage rescue situation differently, that many innocent civilians were killed in the process, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so after it came to my notice that was what he was doing in the chat, I contacted him because I had his contact and I was like, what's going on? Why were you talking like this in my chat? Why were you, stuff like that? One, he told me that he had relatives that died in this war, that have died in this war, and this is personal for him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, my condolences, but is my live chat where you air your grievances. My condolences, but my live chat is not where you vent, okay? And I believe we are friends, so you don't do that on my live chat. You don't come and make a scene on my live chat. And then he was telling me, oh, Israel should have conducted the hostage rescue differently. That there are many of such operations that Israel and the IDF and Mossad had done in the past that did not involve the death of innocent civilians, and that they could have just done the same thing. So I said, okay, give me an example of one of those operations. And he said, oh, the fact that you don't know any of this operation is the reason why you shouldn't be talking about this. You see, you don't know what is happening in the Middle East. That is why people like me should talk about it and not people like you. Fine. Okay, give me one example. Just give me one example. He gave me one example. He did. And guess where that example is located in?
Where?
Uganda.
Oh.
The last time I checked, Roger, Uganda is not in the Middle East.
Operation
Right?
Entebbe.
Yeah. That's what he's talking about. Uganda. First of all, there are so many things about Uganda and the hostage rescue in Gaza that are so not similar. I pointed it out the next time I went live. These hostages in Uganda were kept in an airport. An airport is far removed from civil. Like, it's not the same thing as putting hostages in a refugee camp. Okay, when you rescue hostages that are kept in an airport, you are most likely not going to kill civilians because civilians don't live there. Like, I don't know, or am I crazy? As if it's an airport, a commercial area. Do they do buying an abandoned airport for that matter? Where you know that terrorists have taken over. Idi Amin gave them coverage, said operate from this airport. You understand? So that was very different. Again, despite the fact that Idi Amin was given the PLO covering in Uganda, when he knew that Mossad is going to carry out a rescue operation, he did not want Ugandan army to fire at Mossad agents, because he thought that if a soldier from Israel was killed in Uganda, and it is heard that it is the Ugandan army that killed this person, it was going to put Uganda in a bad light. It's going to create problems that he didn't want for his country. So though he knew, or he had whispers that this operation was going to happen, he just acted like he didn't know and just let it happen. That is not something that is going to happen in Gaza. That is not something that is going to happen in Gaza. It can only happen in Uganda. You cannot compare Uganda to Gaza. Very simple. And yet this is the prime example of how the IDF should have conducted a hostage rescue in a concentration camp, in a refugee camp, so-called, by the way, which is just like another city, another densely populated city in Gaza. You can't compare both.
In this refugee camp, civilians were holding those hostages, Roger.
Yes.
And if you know one thing about Arab society, which you do because you're Arab, or at least you have some Arab ancestry, you know how Arabs talk. You know that Arabs don't keep their mouth shut. Everybody in that neighborhood, everyone in that neighborhood, every single person in that refugee camp knew that there were hostages there. Every single person knew that. And they kept it quiet, and they proudly kept the hostages there. Because they believe in it. Hamas is inseparable from Palestinian society.
Yeah.
It is an integral part of Palestinian society.
And Roger wants me to once his comparison is hostages kept in the airport by the PLO is the same thing as hostages kept by a doctor who is also sometimes working for UNRWA, who is also sometimes working for Gaza Ministry of Health, who is also working for Al Jazeera. It's the same thing. To Roger, it is the same thing. This is when I know you're not like when you say something like that, Roger. I want you to know this is why I stopped talking to you. When you said that, I was like, this person is not serious. There are certain statements you make, and I'm like, you are not a serious person. And I cannot continue having a conversation with somebody who is not serious. Sorry for your loss, but you're not a serious person. So yeah, you had it here, guys. And of course, you never said that. You're lying 100%. Everything you just had, guys, is completely false. And yes, I completely missed the point. And yep.
Gaslighting. Is this not gaslighting 101? It is. This is the definition of gaslighting.
The day Roger will keep quiet is when I show people his text messages. I mean, that's the day that Roger will just be like, okay, it's done. But until then, just keep talking. Maybe the day we'll do a stream and it will be your face there. And I'll bring the text messages you sent, the emails you sent. You understand? I will bring them. Then we'll call it a day. Like end of conversation. But until then, just continue. I don't have your time. I think we've looked at this. This is from Peter Hannes. Say, have a coffee, donating on behalf of.
Peter, you absolute goat. You legend, Peter.
And this is BT on behalf of Roger. Oh, wow, Roger, thank you. Thank you. Please keep talking. Oh, you're making me money. This is what I like. This is what I like.
Love you, BT. BT's the best.
Yeah, all right, guys. Thank you all for being with us this far. And thank you, Roger, for coming to the comments and giving us things to talk about. You are the best. You are my friend. Okay? You are my friend. I love that. Keep doing what you are doing. Lying. Lying.
Why you always lying?
Go and get a job. Okay, I will. Anything else? Do you have anything else you want to say? I'm giving you airtime. This is your moment, Roger. Anything you want to say, just go ahead and say it. I will highlight it. Yeah, so before people will say I didn't give you a chance to express yourself, I'm giving it to you now. You go and get a job. Okay. Noted. Anything else? Somebody is asking when is the next live. The next live may be, I'll definitely have a live on Friday, but on Wednesday there might be something. I'm not sure. So, oh, here's another one. Here's another one from my guy. You are a narcissistic person. You don't mean it. I use this. Roger the psychiatric or psychiatrics or psychologist, whatever it is that you have. My shrink, my personal shrink is Roger, and he has diagnosed me. I have narcissistic personality disorder. I claim it, Roger. I claim it. Anything else? Anything else, Roger? This is your moment. I'm giving you your opportunity.
It's your time to shine,
okay?
baby.
Come on. Rebecca is in the chat. Rebecca said, OMG, I'm so under the weather before, but now I am.
Rebecca, what? Every time I come into a live stream and call you beautiful and then I send you to sad places, I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. I'm going to send Rebecca the invitation to the Iranian regime event real quick. Rebecca, check your WhatsApp.
Roger is still talking. It is so obvious. What is so obvious? My narcissism. All right, fair enough. I didn't deny it, Roger. I did not. You see, you guys need to know something. For you to be in front of the camera talking every time, there have to be a hint, a small, maybe not big, maybe not too big, a small hint of narcissism involved. Okay, it's just some people know how to control theirs, some people know how to use theirs, to help portray their message. Some people just help use their narcissism to be all about themselves. Theirs is so big, it is huge. It becomes the entirety of what they represent and what they stand for, how they present themselves. And clearly, the person who has taken over my live chat and used it to talk about me and how I'm a stupid person is not the narcissist. Rather, it is me who is giving him opportunity to express himself. That is the narcissist. I love this. This is powerful stuff, guys. This is powerful. This is how it works. Okay, Roger, do you know why I'm keeping you on? You're making me more money, so keep talking.
I love this. Roger, keep it coming.
So keep talking. This is from Michael for Roger, okay?
Cashing in those super chats, baby. That's that Roger cash.
Since I don't have a job, this is it, guys. This is Roger is helping me pay rent. By the time we are done with this live stream, I will have gotten rent money. Thank you for the live, great conversation. Thank you for providing your valuable perspective. It is a pleasure. It is 100% my pleasure.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure. It is my pleasure. All right, Roger is done. I'm happy to have had you on the live chat. Thank you, Thor. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my moderators. It was fun. And until we catch you again, maybe on Wednesday. And also, please, before we go to if you are not yet subscribed, go to Thor's channel, The Traveling Clatt. Go there and subscribe. I have in the description, I have link to his Instagram. I also have link to his Discord. Very interesting place. If you want people to be part of your Discord, right? Let me know if I'm promoting.
Come join us. It's absolutely free.
Okay. Yeah, please go join his Discord. I see even though I don't engage all the time, but I read very interesting stuff there. And I want you guys to go join. I also follow him on Instagram. His Instagram posts are usually informative and entertaining and fun. I want you to go there and follow him too, and also follow his YouTube. Please do. He goes to places. You know, unlike me, I sit down here jobless, talking in front of the camera, trying to get minimum wage. But Roger goes out. You know, you see him in the sun. You see him with
you're
people.
The best, Frank. You were the best, man. Frank, guys, Frank is amazing. It's so much fun being on this show, for real. I do a lot of these streams, and Frank is he's the boss, man. I love doing this with him.
Thank you. Before my narcissism goes out of proportion, just let's. I love this one. I love this comment. You will not believe this is a very wonderful comment. I love this one. Rebecca and Frank, two adults acting like kids.
Why you exclude me from the conversation? Is it a racist thing? Are you racist against brown Jewish people? Why am I excluded from the comment? The hell, man.
I love this. We are about to end this live stream, and Roger does not want us to leave. Come on. We have to go. But let me just read more super chats before we go. I don't like leaving without reading all of this.
No, go for it, of course.
All right, this is from Peter. He said, Roger, you know what projection is indicative of, right? I'm not sure Roger understands what you're saying. You're using too many words. Make it simple. Put it in like three word, 4 word sentences, and use simple words, please.
Roger, you dumb. That would get the point across better.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.